Chapter 76 Phenomena. Summary. Time for a fluff and introspection break. They'd been traveling through space for a whole month. A month in a spaceship doing kind of crimey things, but in a heroic but also eldritch abomination way. It was hard for Izuku to wrap his head around how this was his life. In just a few weeks, they'd done so much. They'd helped tow a broken down ship to an orbiting repair shop. Mei didn't want to leave, and it took all of them to pry her off after a couple of hours. Caught what ended up being a prolific ship thief when he tried to break into their ship and got surrounded by their Roombas. Roomba security system is best security system. Hunted down a serial murderer. Her bone privileges were revoked. Found and removed a parasitic alien pest from a deep space station that was making all the inhabitants deathly ill. Very creepy and cool. Rescued a mining crew from a major cave collapse. The people had thrown a feast in their honor afterwards, which was wow. And helped transport life-saving medicine to a planet undergoing an epidemic. Katsuki and Mei triple-checked that they were immune before setting foot outside. Overall, a very productive month. Izuku hoped this would be enough to catch the guild's attention. They'd done well, in Izuku's opinion, to lean into the whole branding thing. Maybe they couldn't show it off too much when there wasn't outright combat, but they were still able to display their unique abilities plenty in situations like that cave-in. Floating, exploding, kicking, and melting their way through. Denki held a light bulb to illuminate the cave. It was actually on that planet they had heard about where they were headed now. It was on the way, so it only made sense to stop and watch a rare celestial event, described as a once-in-a-century phenomenon, that would change your whole outlook on life. Izuku thought the reaction sounded similar to how pre-quirk astronauts would feel when they saw Earth in its entirety for the first time. The group was due for their weekly pit stop anyway. Might as well make their last visit before they got to hiatus a good one. And wasn't that just a thought? They were 1 week away from the siblings' home planet. 1 week away from saying goodbye. It was a good thing, really. The kids would be able to get back to their lives. They could go back to school and grow up and be normal, functioning members of their community. Their chance abduction wouldn't ruin their lives. But it would be hard to say goodbye. Their group truly was family, and leaving their little cousins behind would not be easy on anyone. Still, it had to be done. All they could do was enjoy the time they had left together and try to make the good memories outnumber the bad. It was hard to find a spot to park their ship. Evidently, a lot of people had heard about and decided to witness this event. All the cities were filled to the brim with sentience from across the galaxy. In the end, they'd made their way to a smaller town, having their own little festival. A few other ships sat in the lot when they arrived, but it seemed that this was a much calmer place to experience the phenomena. They emerged to find streets full of stalls, mouth-watering scents filling the air. The event didn't seem particularly organized, nothing like the well-put-together Festival of Lights back on Oxyus, but this was an event that most people would be lucky to see once in their lifetimes, not an annual occurrence. Even the air was cool, though not uncomfortably so. The sounds of shoes clicking against stone streets and the murmur of voices filled the air as they walked through the heart of the town. It seemed that almost all of the stalls were selling food of some sorts, mostly treats, but here and there were a few restaurants that had set up a display outside their buildings. "Ooh, can we eat there?" Pyropa excitedly asked, pointing to a shop. There wasn't a particularly strong smell coming from it, but rows of skewers stood, coated in what looked like shimmering diamond dust. "Sure," Ochako smiled. "We can get a few and share." And so it went, wandering the Vitalia streets and stopping when something caught their eye. They may not have had an unlimited budget, but it was enough to spoil the kids. And everyone always got at least one bit of the unique treat. A lot of them were odd and extravagant, obviously made for this special occasion. Despite the lackluster organization and cohesion, it was clear each individual participating in this event had pulled out all the stops. When the sky began to dim, a watercolor sunset painting over the blue, the 8 of them made their way just out of the populated town and climbed one of the rolling hills surrounding it. No trees nestled in this community, just a rolling plain dotted with flowers that seemed to change color when the wind shifted their petals. So, they settled down as the wind gently rustles their hair, carrying with it a sweet scent Izuku can't put his finger on. All is quiet for a long while, as the sun continues to set and the inky expanse of space takes over the sky. I wonder how our class is doing right now, Mina says into the emptiness, not turning her head from where she's looking up at the first stars emerging. Some dots glowing brighter than others amongst the black, planets hiding amongst the shimmering stars. Far off, but not unreachable. Not anymore. Probably something dumb, Kachan huffs, leaning back onto the grass fully. Mina giggles. I can't believe I was right about them trying to steal a spaceship. I hope Aizawa-sensei has more stories to tell next time he talks with Izuku. You haven't heard from them again, Deku, right? Ochako asks, and Izuku can't help but feel guilty for keeping it from them so long for the first time. No, nothing yet, but they should check in again soon. I'll be sure to grill Aizawa-sensei about the rest of Class 1A. Vastel hums, a little habit they seem to have picked up from Izuku and the others. Your class always sounds nice in the stories you tell. I wish we could meet them. That'd be so cool, Denki says, smile clear in his voice, even though all Izuku can see at this point is the glittering of stars above. Maybe once Terrans get better space travel, in a few years we could all come visit you. That way you really get to meet everyone. Pyripa trills excitedly. Would you really? Of course, Izuku replies. Of course, Izuku replies without hesitation. Even after you're back on your planet and we're on ours, we'll still be family. Can't get rid of us that easily, Mei softly cackles. Denki chimes in. You're stuck with us for life. No takebacks. When the 2 kids giggle, it sounds like chiming bells. Okay then, Pyripa says, trying to speak through his laughter. 'Cause we can't meet your class yet. Can you tell us another story? Oh, I know the perfect one, Mina enthuses. So, it started out like any other class outing. Dad-sensei downing an entire pot of coffee? Denki teased. Exactly. Izuku could hear her hair ruffling around the grass and her clothes like she was nodding along. So, we had convinced Dad to take everyone out grocery shopping. Those trips are always fun, Ochako giggled. It was going pretty normal. Denki and Kirishima raced me and Sero in shopping carts. Koda tried to stage a prison break for the lobsters. Todoroki made a store employee cry by sharing some of his conspiracy theories. Shinso somehow fell asleep in one of the carts and promptly got covered by everyone's groceries. Aoyama was giving personalized cheese recommendations to anyone who walked by the cheese aisle. Jiro hijacked the store's speakers and changed the music. You know, normal. That is, until Shinso awoke from his slumber, emerging from his snack tomb, and shouted, "The floor is Endeavor." Ew, Pyripa grimaced. Indeed, Endeavor is very ew, Denki sagely agreed. So everyone immediately stopped what they were doing and jumped onto the nearest thing. It was so funny, Ochako giggled. Deku, Sue, and I floated to the ceiling with my quirk, so we got a great view. I think my favorite had to be Todoroki climbing on top of the store employee he had been talking to, literally just scrambling up, perched on his shoulders, and continued his conspiracy rant. Kachanjiro and Tokoyami sacrificing Sato and using him as a platform was pretty good. Izuku giggled. If he didn't want to be sacrificed, then he shouldn't have been so easy to knock over, Kachan stated. Denki grinned. Mina, Siro, Kira, and I ended up losing control of her shopping carts and crashing into a shelf. Tad was so mad. Ochako giggled. Yeah, he lectured us all the while he was hanging from the ceiling by his capture scarf, not touching the floor. Kachan pointed out. Pyarpa giggled. That sounds like it was fun. It was, Izuku said with a wistful sigh. He missed his class, the rest of his family, so much. But they were making progress every day. They'd get home, eventually. When we get back, I better be invited on any future chaotic shopping trips, Mei demanded. I have the perfect babies. Of course, Mina enthused. We've already instated you as an honorary member of Class 1A. All we need to do is introduce you properly to the rest of the class, and you'll get along great. They lapse into a comfortable silence after that, just watching the sky and waiting. And eventually, it begins. It unfolded in front of their eyes in a dance of color and lights. Crimson waves glowed vibrantly against a black backdrop, winding into the distance as the shimmering river of light came to life like light reflecting off the ocean. Soon, mixing with the deep crimson, was the brightest fuchsia Izuku had ever seen. The ethereal displays continued as more and more colors came, like some old god was painting brushstrokes across the inky canvas. Every time Izuku blinked, he glimpsed a different scene, a different, wholly unique moment in the history of the universe. Time and space seemed to narrow down to this moment, to this cosmic dance he bore witness to. The past didn't haunt him with its horrors, and the future didn't loom like a reaper in the night. He was here in this moment, and that was enough. He was here, existing in time with the universe. When he breathed, it felt like the rest of the world was breathing with him, as one beautiful symphony. And he realized in that moment that just as he wouldn't even think to change the spectacle before him in all its imperfect brilliance, he couldn't imagine changing the way things had gone for them. Even if some mystical being came down from this glimpse into infinity and offered to rewrite the fabric of the universe so that they never left Earth, so that they were never taken from their home, he would refuse. He hadn't realized, but they'd passed the point of no return a long time ago. This was the path they had been laid upon through pure cosmic chance, and he couldn't imagine it any other way.